Okay, so let's talk tournaments. We're coming up to the Australia Day tournament in basketball, and there'll be other things going on tournament-wise.
Australia Day, we've got camps, we've got like basketball camps, pre-season camps, all that sort of stuff. Everyone's, other than cricketers, sort of ramping up into their season.
Volume is spiking in preparation for the season in a lot of ways. So I think it's really a good time to talk about what you should do, where people go wrong, and
especially for the tournament situation when you've got 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 games in a 3 or 4 day period. It's just a huge onslaught on your body and on your physiology. But if you prepare right and if you nail it during the tournament, you can really capitalise and actually get a handicap, an unfair advantage on your opposition. So you wrote an article on this 5 years, 6 years?
Years ago.
Before it was before I came here, so I read it on the website before I started working here. So let's especially just run through that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So in an ideal world, you've maintained your training volumes. You're not coming into it off the back of nothing.
Yep. You've kept a floor, which we've talked about in the video previously.
Yeah. Cool. But even if you haven't, this stuff is still really, really valuable. What I would say is, in terms of we'll get into the warm-up 2.0 stuff. Don't start that at the tournament though.
Yeah, this video is coming out 8 days or 7 days before the tournament, deliberately to give you some lead-in.
Yeah. So
you can do this for a week, then hit the tournament.
But don't start it at 5 days. Like when this video comes out, start it within the next 2 days.
Yep.
Or don't do it. I think it's really important. So the typical trajectory of a tournament for most teams is that as the tournament goes on, the team gels, they connect, people know where to pass it to when.
The coaches are better with their subs and their rotations and what place to use in what situations.
So it's just this upward trajectory. So at the business end of the tournament, the collective IQ of the team, the collective chemistry, harmony, it's all there.
Cohesiveness. The team is, as a unit, at the best from an intellectual and a tactics point of view, the best they've been of the season. Yeah.
But also very typical is that they start out at their absolute freshest.
Day one on the back of holidays.
Happy muscles that are full of glycogen and not tight. And then over the course of 5 to 6 games,
they plummet.
Yeah. And so I think the opportunity there is, imagine the team that has both the graphs. Even if that one's going up and that one's just going.
Yeah, even if your IQ goes up and your athletic capacities, your athletic quotient, if you will, your AQ, if that stays level and your IQ comes up.
Or even if it just decays
slowly. Yeah, that's better than the plummet that 99% of teams have, 90% of athletes have.
So I think the easiest thing in terms of that is just maintaining your hydration and glycogen replenishment. I think that. So it takes, depending on what you read, it takes 24 to 48 hours to fully replenish the glycogen within your muscles. And
it's a sliding scale depending on how badly you depleted them, how fit you are, all these other factors going on as well. But as a ballpark, for sure.
Yeah, so it's a long time. And so the critical thing is that in the immediate hour post-training...
Or game, competition in this situation.
Or game, you're absorbing at triple the rate. So it's like the refueling funnel, which is normally like this, on the car is like that.
Which is called GLUT4. So post-exercise, adrenaline and all the growth hormones and factors like that, they recognise the stress, and when you come back out there, they go, well, I've just done a whole lot of work. Feed me. And so this GLUT4 sends... I'm going to get nerdy here. It goes to the surface of the cell, or towards the membrane, and it goes, where's the glucose? And it's ready to suck it back into the muscle. Because we have glucose in our bloodstream and in our liver, but the stuff stored in your muscle before the game starts, that's the most important. Because it's actually quite hard for your body to use that glucose that's floating around, because it's quite inefficient to get it in and then use it for energy. Whereas if it's already pre-stored, so carbo loading for the marathon and triathletes of us, that sort of thing actually is a real thing and it works amazingly effective. But in a tournament situation, you're constantly depleting. So if you're not refueling, especially in that 30 minutes post-game, if you're not making the most of that window, there's no way you're going to be even close to full with glycogen. You're going to buy the next game.
And what happens is, it's really common that in the fourth quarter of finals matches in tournaments, teams will report, and athletes will report, that they just run out of legs. Like their heart and lungs are good to go. They just
can't get off the ground.
Yeah, and that's just because their legs are empty of glycogen. They've just run out of petrol.
I remember one tournament in under 18s, we were playing against, we dragged the team all the way through the finals. We were playing against Shepparton, who had 3 state kids, and they were enormous. And we were the little team that could, little Portland. We had 2 players missing. We'd done awesome. We got to the final, And we got there, and before the final, we were all lying in the stands, like sleeping, like napping, like. And coach going, "Come on, boys, we've got half an hour to warm up." We're like, "No!" And we got trounced. Like we were always going to get beaten, but we got demolished because we were all just out of glycogen.
Yeah.
We were all just like could barely get our eyes open, we could barely make like turnover. It was just disgusting.
Yeah.
And because of that glycogen factor.
So, and it's such a fixable factor. Like it's the lowest effort, easiest to do thing that you could do. It's literally have a gator shake or have. So I'm a big fan. So I'm really a big fan of simple nutrition that you'll actually do rather than the fanciest thing that won't happen.
Yeah, do a good plan that you're going to do and do every time, as opposed to have a great plan and then fail to execute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my favourite is the gator shake plus lollies. This isn't for everyone, but let's talk about that briefly.
Do you want to touch on protein? Do you want to do a quick 30-second protein?
Yeah.
So protein's another factor that's not going to give you energy, but it's going to help repair your muscles so you don't have that soreness as much, especially by day 3 or 4 of a tournament situation. So post-game, you're going to get some fast digesting protein in the form of whey. So whey protein isolate, or you prefer concentrate, don't you?
I'm not fussed.
There's really not that much difference. Concentrate is slightly faster digested, although it's not
isolate.
A little slower digesting, sorry.
Yeah.
Concentrate is a little slower, but they're both fine.
I would tend to err on the side of isolate because it's less likely to irritate people's tummies because it's a little bit more
Less
processed.
lactose, yeah. There's a little more protein, a little less milk. Yep.
Yeah.
But scoop of that in half a Gatorade, shake that up. Some people don't like the taste. I think it's awesome. I love it.
It tastes awful at all other times, but when you just train and you're like, because there's part of you when you train
Just wants sugar.
Yeah. Because if you try to drink a gator shake normally, you're like, what is this concoction? But yeah.
Yeah, so protein, Gatorade, shake that up, drink that down, and then a handful of lollies.
Yeah. And so the rule of thumb is you want to get roughly 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh, and a full Gatorade has 60 grams of carbs. So if you weigh 68 kilos, you want to have an entire Gatorade, a little scoop of protein, and then you want to have 3 lolly snakes. And now you're exactly...
You hit your 68 to something around that
And I made up a little spreadsheet, I remember, for our state team and for Sapphires, where it actually calculated based on their body weight how many snakes they had to have, because we wanted to really precise.
Nice.
But I don't think you have to. You just have to get...
Ballparks, yeah.
Ballpark, yeah.
So that's immediately post-game. And then I think a little later you want to get something a little more complex in.
Yeah.
So now you want to be looking at sort of salad rolls, fried rice and a little bit of some sort of protein sauce with chicken, or some sushi rolls, something like that, maybe a couple of pieces of fruit and a muesli bar, something like that. So we're getting some proteins. Don't worry about fats in the tournament. Fats and fibre and veggies and stuff like that tend to interfere with digestion. So if you've got a game at 10 a.m. and you've got another one at 4, you've only got a 6-hour turnaround or 5-hour turnaround by the time the game finishes. I would not be worried about getting some protein, some carbs, maybe a little bit for flavour and to balance the meal out, but don't go too crazy on that stuff.
Some people, it's interesting, some people will, there's a case, people will make a case, there's a school of thought that you should have fat, like I know Collingwood Football Club are like party pies and sausage rolls last time I checked. I just find that athletes don't feel like fatty stuff. So the physiology of it is, there's conjecture and debate about the physiology of should you have fats, shouldn't you? But my anecdotal experience is just athletes you feel like if you've played really hard, you feel like you're going to spew for a while. You don't feel...
Milk or party pies is the last thing on your mind, yeah.
Yeah, so sort of cleaner foods that you're more likely to be more palatable.
Which are also fast digested.
But if that happens to be fat, and that's what you normally do, keep doing that. Just make sure you're getting the other stuff in, I guess.
Definitely.
I think maybe we've just talked about post-tournament nutrition, but maybe should do it.
Should we touch on the warm-up stuff quickly as well?
Yeah. Okay. So if you've addressed that, the big rock is, have you got fuel in your body to operate? And so assuming you're eating good meals you're having the gator shake or some equivalent of that post.
Can I talk about pre quickly?
Yeah.
A lot of the time,
we've written an article,
which I'll be linking over the next week as well. That 48 hours before the tournament, you should consider that a carbo loading period as well.
Yeah.
Where you go a little bit over the top, eating a little bit extra carbs, pastas, rices, sandwiches, fruit, muesli bars, all that sort of stuff, to really sort of top your body up, ready to get into that tournament. Yeah. So if your tournament starts Friday, Thursday and Wednesday, I'd be eating big meals of carbs every chance you can get.
You want that tank full. You want that tank at 97%.
So you go in a little over normal, so as you decay, you end up back to baseline.
Good. So if you've addressed the fuel component, then
which almost everyone underdoes, so just think more.
Yeah, just have more. Like you're not going to get fat in 3 days. Like just have more than you think you should. And also the nice thing about the Gatorade approach is that you're getting fluids in, because people will lose fluid in a cumulative way. You just lose a little bit each game, and you're playing a little dehydrated as well as undernourished.
Yeah.
So assuming you've dealt with that, the warm-up 2.0 idea of roll, stretch, activate, dynamic, that can have a really powerful effect because you're releasing off the tight spots
as they build up each game. So you hit reset button before every game. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that is if you've been doing that diligently long term, you can get through the whole tournament. And athletes will come back and report to us that they have no soreness. Like they felt a little depleted, but
actually soreness wise, they felt still fresh and bouncy and good to go.
Yeah. Which is huge. We've got all the stuff on that. It's the one time of the year people actually get serious about, like the rest of the year it's like, all sounds, we've got a tournament, we've got to be really serious about it. If you use that as a jumping off, as a launching pad for the rest of your year,
2017, yeah, for sure.
I think that's a good thing. It'll help you within the tournament, but you get into the habit of how to prepare your body for the rest of it. The big warning though would be really gentle with your stretching.
Yep.
I think people can be a bit over exuberant. And that, if you're not used to that, it's really, that's really bad. You've just got to ease into that.
People like to take their stretches like 9s and 10s, so it's like painful and they have to hold their breath. Just bring it back to the 5s and the 6s, where you can feel it, but it's comfortable and you could effectively hold that position.
It's really on the low end of the scale.
Yeah.
So if you do those two things, plus you get great sleep, I think that's important. So be extra diligent trying to get to bed early, trying to wind down. Then you're really setting yourself up really well.
Yeah, everyone jumps for ice baths and compression stuff like that, but that's really a nice to have on top of a foundation of a good warm up, roll, stretch, activate, and good hydration and good nutrition.
Yeah, and then if you want to go for a
ocean
swim water, that's great, but that's a lovely peripheral thing as opposed to a critical central thing. Yeah.
Good luck for the tournament, guys.
Yeah, good luck.